Hey everybody, welcome back for another hopefully much easier to follow 3D modeling video. I'll show you how to draw this 3D shape. All right. If you have a drawing at your desks and you're in my classroom, you're going to see a front and a top view of this object. And those, I've seen people trying to just draw them on the screen the way that you see them on the handout. The reason for those two views is to give you the measurements you need to make it 3D. All right. So number one, watch the video and don't guess. Number two, start a new drawing. You guys know how to do that. Best practice is to save it right away as something like 3D block 2. Maybe put your name in there and a period like P7 just to get organized. I mean, think about it. You got a name of a part, you've got your name and a location for when it was designed. It's never a bad idea to come up with your own system. Next one will be 3D block 3, bonk, period 7 kind of thing, you know? Anyway, let's save that. You'll see the name changes up here. Very important to not miss this step. I can show you how to undo this if you make the mistake, which you probably will. Draw on the top view, but you got to draw objects. If we're drawing the front view of something, you've got to choose the front view in the program to be holding this object in the right way in space when you're making it. You'll learn that as you go. But then the next thing that you're going to see is there's different ways of making objects that are layout tricks. Right? You're using layout tricks to make geometric shapes, and you have to look at measurements and see what information you have to make shapes. So this is how I would do block 2. I'm just going to start off with a 6-inch horizontal line. If this ends up zoomed out when you do this, because of the scaling of it, zoom in when you draw your longest measurement at first, so you're working in a much more comfortable way. And just get yourself set up, because 6 inches is the total length of this thing, and it's not that tall, so now I can see everything easily. Now I'm going up a 1/2 inch, 0.5, enter. I'm going to just extend this out about 4 inches. It doesn't need to be an exact length. It just needs to be there. You hit enter, and I'm going to trim some of that away later. Now, back to the line. I'm going to draw the height of the block, which is 1 3/4 inches. That looks like 1 minus symbol 3/4/4. Enter. This is going to be done in 3 little segments. You'll see. Hang on 1 second. It's 0.5, and I'm going to draw a 2.5 inch. 2. I'll give you the one. You can do 2.5 also. That works, but I'm going to do 0.5 for this other little 1/2 inch segment, and then downward. This is just a layout trick. This little line segment that I just put in there, the 2.5 inch one, you're going to delete that. Click the delete button, not backspace. The reason you do that is because there's options for circles that make it really easy to complete this job, which you learn through time in the program and the way it works. There's a 2-point circle option that you can click on one endpoint, the other endpoint, and you hit enter, and then you trim away the top of it. Whenever you have endpoints or a line that goes through something, you can cut it using the trim tool. You can draw through it or click on it like I just did, and then you trim away this. And if you went too far, you might have to zoom in and trim another little piece of that out. Okay, so now I have my overall side view. We're going to modify it, but we're going to put it into 3D right now. So it's got to be a 2.25 inch thick block. You're going over here to your 3D Basics menu. Try to actually click it. All right, and now this doesn't work if these lines are disconnected or not joined. So that's the next thing you have to definitely remember to do. You're going to type in the word join, Join, enter. And then what you do is you click on one side or one corner, and then you drag and then click on the other corner and then hit enter to do the selection. And now you'll see all those lines are joined, which is what you must do for these tools to work. So if these things aren't working, it's probably because you forgot to join whatever you're trying to cut or build. So you click extrude now, click the lines, and click, I missed a step. I'm going to stop myself. I hit escape real quick. What you want to do before you turn anything into 3D, this is the next big point that I have to make in the videos, is when you're learning this, you have to know how to hold shift and press the mouse wheel down to orbit easily. That can be done from clicking the orbit thing over here, but this is just a much faster way to do it. So you turn this thing on an angle so you can see what's going on when it goes into 3D, because if you're looking straight at it, you can't see what happens. So you click the tool, this case extrude is what we're going to do, hit enter, and as soon as you hit enter, it's going to pick it up. In these cases, the blocks should be going backwards away from you as you build it. If they're going frontwards, it's not a big deal, but this is going to be 2¼ inches, 2 minus symbol, 1/4, enter. Okay, so that's the rough shape of the block. Now we're going to cut the slot in it before we do anything else, because it just makes it easier to work on that way. So what you do is you're going to be doing this from the top view. This can become a problem, so it's actually best to sort of tilt it, again with the shift and the mouse wheel clicking down as a button. So you got to tumble this thing. You want to turn it so you can see it in some depth here when you're doing this next part. Okay, go back into your drafting and annotation. You want to also, just for clarity, if anybody's picking this random video up online, not in my classroom, you got to make sure that you have your object snaps set up the right way. You need a check mark in front of the midpoint object snap for this to work. I'm going to put this is done with 2. Actually, let me go back to this and change my view here so you guys can see what we're actually about to do. This is done with 2 circles that we're going to join with 2 lines, and then we'll trim away some stuff out of the inside of it. We got to align the circles to the center and place them. So what we're going to do is use edges to your advantage in doing this. Here, watch. There's a method to my madness and the steps and the order of this. I tried to do this a different way and I messed up. You want this on an angle so you can see that you're about to draw on the surface that you want to be drawing on. If you're looking at it straight down, you can't really see that. You can't really see it. You actually cannot see it at all. So you click the circle tool, go over that surface, find the midpoint of it, and then it's going to do an extension. You're going to tell it to be 3/4 inch away from that edge first by typing in. You got to have those green indicator lines, and it's got to be laid out just the right way for this to work. So then you're going to type in 3/4, and then it starts putting the circle in there because that's the tool we're using. And then now we're going to tell it to be the size we need it to be, which is 3/8. Enter. Whoop. Messed up my measurement numbers here. 3/8. Enter. There we go. Okay. So then there's another circle. That's 5/8 on the paper away from this. So what you do is you hover over points on the circle until it identifies the center. You got to make sure that you're getting your tracking going on. You got to see that it's trying to go in the right direction and aligned to something. So now we're going to type in 5/8, enter, and it's going to start pulling out that circle in the right location. You type in 3/8 to make it the right size. All right. Let's see if we can do this from here. This is another thing is, quadrant should be selected by default in the program. This is the snap tool that's you're using to make this work. You're just connecting the top and the bottoms of the circle with lines, but you got to make sure that you get those indicators that you're at those points exactly for this to work. Go back to line, outside edge there, outside edge here, enter, and then you trim this stuff. Okay. I'm going to hold shift and tumble this thing around so you can see that shape is drawn in the right orientation. And again, remember, we have to join it before we can do anything with it. We have to connect those lines. I'm just going to go back into the 3D Basics menu here. Miss it again. I did. Type in the word join, enter, click on the one side of these lines. I already tilted it so I could see it. You might need to do that. Enter. And now that's one solid shape that I could extrude. Now you remember, this is, or you might not remember, this block is a 1/2 inch thick, so I need to pull that down a 1/2 inch when I do this extrude. So I click extrude, I click the shape, I hit enter. You can see it's going in the right direction just by pulling it in the right direction. I'm going to type in 0.5. You can type in 1/2 if you prefer. Hit enter. And that's the cut. There's a physical slot inside there now. Modifications. So you got to put you got to do a 1/4 inch fillet in here and a different kind of fillet on the outside here. So watch this. You're going to do edit. These are 3D fillets. I'm going to click where it says radius, type the measurement in, 1/4. All these tools have sub menus. So I'm using the radius command. I just typed in the measurement. I'm going to click this inside corner and then hit enter. And that built that 1/4 inch radius there. You hit enter again, it says to accept that, right? So the same tool is going to apply out here for these outside corners. You're going to choose in the sub menu for edit, fillet edge. You can also type this in and just have these commands pop up, but that means you've got to memorize all the tools and that becomes a problem. So you click this fillet edge, click radius down here, tell it what measurement you need it to be, which is 1 1/8, 1 minus symbol, 1/8, like that. Enter. Click here, pressing the mouse wheel down to grab that and slide it down. Click there. You can select multiple edges always in these programs to fillet things. Hit enter. And we are done with that part. What's interesting is this cube will eventually figure out what you're trying to do and reorient itself and start to function the way it's meant to. Like now it's starting to oriented itself. So the front and the top are where they are. Again, you can shift and hold that down. You can change this from wireframe view to conceptual. I don't know why it just did that. It didn't update. I just lost. Maybe I didn't hit enter before I actually changed this thing out. 1/8, 1, 1/8. Enter. Oh, enter. That's right. You've got to enter twice to accept the final fillet. It was still asking me to do something there. Let's see what happens here. Go to conceptual. It didn't update my cut. That's okay. We'll figure that out. I'll see you next time, guys. Make sure you save this.